So I'll start with number 8, visualizing your data. So how do you create something that captures the attention of your users? So we need to create an appealing map. Now how can we do that? Is by applying Firefly cartography. So what is Firefly cartography? Basically, it is a design of a map that uses a dark blackish base map, complemented together with the effects of glowing. So how can we create something like this? So I have a basic map that shows a data set of earthquakes occurrences globally. So I haven't done anything yet on the design. So let's start by changing the base map. So I can click on Add, browse the Living Atlas, and search for Firefly. So I can get this one, World Imagery Firefly, and I can click the plus sign to add it in. So if I've added this one earlier, I'm going to enable it. So now you get a dark, desaturated base map. So we're not finished yet, so we're going to change the symbology to give it a glow effect. So I've got 3 layers here showing the magnitudes of earthquakes at 1.0, 2.5, and 4.5. So I'll take the 1.0, I'll change the style over here, and you can easily find the Firefly within the categories. So as you can see here, you get all the glowing effects. So for this one, I'm going to go for a greenish color, and since it's a low magnitude, I'll give it a small size. So as you can see, you start to get the glow effects over here. Now, if I were to apply this on 3 of the layers, using different colors to represent different weights and even size, I could get something like this. So that's easily how you can apply Firefly cartography to create an appealing map. Now moving on to the list is number 7. Number 7 is Survey 1 to 3. So Survey 1 to 3 is a simple and intuitive form-based data collection method that helps you to create, share, and analyze your survey. So it uses the digital platform, replacing the traditional paper-based solution, which fits the current environment. So we've got 2 ways that we can create this survey, which is using the web designer or the Connect. So what's the difference between these two? Is the web designer is focusing on the ease of use. So no training is required, and you can do it straight away from a web browser. Whereas the Connect requires you to install it in your desktop, but you can create more advanced and complex rules. So let's take a look at some of the highlights with the web designer. So I've created a simple survey over here called the Drug Activity Reporter. So the first question here is, I've used a single choice question. So as you can see, drug activity that you've been observed, I've got 5 answers over here. So looking at the appearance here, I've got vertical, horizontal, and horizontal compact. So the vertical one uses the most rows. So this is not necessarily a good experience for mobile users as they need to scroll more. So you can opt for horizontal. Now I can utilize only 2 rows, and you can go even further using the compact. And what it does is that it squeezes your answer in. So you can add more answer without complementing or using more rows. So let's say, for example, I have another 2 question answers over here. Okay, so as you can see, I'm still using 2 rows, but if I were to change back to the horizontal, now it starts to use 3 rows. And the vertical one would take up to 7 rows. So this is a bad design for mobile users. So next, I want to show you what we call rules. So I have a question here that says, would you like to be contacted for more information? Now, I want the users, when they click on yes, only the following question, 8, 9, and 10 would appear, or else it will be hidden. So I could do that by clicking on Set Rules. If the answer is yes, then show number 8. So I'll do the same for number 9 and number 10. So we'll look at that one live later on. And lastly, when you're creating a form, you might want to add a signature in to verify the information. So you just drag it in a signature, and you get a signature pad over here. So to take a look at this one, as you can see here, I'm using 2 rows, and for the rules, if I were to select yes, you see the following question appear. And if I were to select no, it will be hidden. And lastly is the signature pad, where you can drop in your signature using your mouse, stylus, or even your finger. Now moving on to the list is the Web App Builder. Now the Web App Builder allows you to create interactive applications without any programming knowledge. So the interactivity function is supplied through the use of widgets. Now, one particular widget that I want to highlight here is called the screening widget. So what it does is that it allows you to scan or screen a particular area of interest and gives you back a summary. And the analysis results can later be inspected within the widget. You can even export it to a spreadsheet friendly, which is a CSV, and even print it as a report. So I've created one simple one over here, which is called the utility inspection. So how do I add in the widget? Go to the widget tab, select one placeholder, and search for screening. And it will take you to the configuration page. So I'm going to leave this as default, but I'll need to add in the layers that I'm working with, which I have right now. My utility is the hydrant and manholes, and I can click on checking the rest, and I can click on OK. So I've added this one earlier. So let's see how we can use this one. So let's say, for example, I want to scan this area over here. I can click on the widget, and I could draw it in. And if I click on the report, it starts to give me a summary. So I've got 8 hydrants over here and 12 manholes. So if I were to expand this, I'll even get more information for each of the attributes. So you can even export it to your spreadsheet. And lastly, you can print it as a report, so it automatically generates a report, which is a printer-friendly version. So you select the layout, and you will get something like this. So you have a snip of the map, and all your information in a table base. So moving on, I'll pass this one to my colleague Firdaus.
Thanks, Ami. Okay, at number 5, I want to talk about dashboard, because many of us use dashboard to monitor our assets and operations. Sometime early this year, or earliest release of dashboard, we have actually made it better. We have made it even easier for you. No more separate apps that you need to download and configure. Everything is configurable using just a web browser. I would like to show you this. This is actually a dashboard represent or show water quality informations. First thing you will notice that the look and feel have been refreshed. We make it a bit more modern. And here are all the tools that you need to actually create a dashboard. So in this case, I would like to show you how I can add an indicator represent a poor water quality. Of course, I can actually click at this and do step by step, but I don't have to do that. I just have to duplicate this from the existing one, like so, and configure it from there. So in this case, I'm just going to filter it down to poor water quality stations and just update the indicator to poor, update the color, and I'm done. Now, just slot it in to the top right side of the corner. Right, so it may be too fast, so let's do it again. So this time with a gauge, duplicate, configure. This time I'm going to pick in the bacteria readings, just adjust the minimal value, and this time I want to change the description. Okay, and just like I did in the indicator, slot in to the bottom right side of the corner. And one more. So when the map extent change, I just want to make sure that it will be reflected in these new widgets. So because everything is portable, all right, I can actually make use of my tablet here. Switch over. okay, I will have the same look and feel as what I see in my notebook. So I can pinch and zoom, just like what I do in any other tablets apps. Now we can say it's a dashboard that works just about everywhere. Switch over. Okay, at number 4, I want to talk about Insights. Insight is an app that we use it to perform data explorations. By just doing drag and drop, we can find answers from almost any forms of data. Okay, so in this case, let me play a role as an intelligence officer. I would like to understand terrorism events happening and if there is any pattern to it. So what I'm looking now is event data from a global terrorism database. So what you should know, in the latest release of Insight, we can support creation of link maps. This is essentially a link analysis that we can use to visualize relationships between 2 locations. So if you give me a second, let's just apply a little bit of cartography to these locations. Okay, and one more. Okay, now we have better rendering effects. Okay, to complement these cards, we can even create what we call a link chart. So it's another form of link analysis. All right. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to add in a timeline, drag it in, and get it organized by group name. So now I have a better idea what data I'm looking about, because if I look into these control areas, you will notice this thickest line here. This actually represents the highest number of people who got killed in the attacks. So from here, we know who were behind the attacks and when the attacks are frequently happening. And the good news is that we release Insights as a premium app in ArcGIS Online, so which means each and every one of you can have access to that, regardless whether you have ArcGIS server or not. Right, at number 3, I want to talk about a crazy idea by my boss, actually. Asked me to do a one-click data solution, one-click data collection app, sorry. So I turn to this. This is an app studio for ArcGIS. It is the platform for us to build native apps. The concept here, you build it once, you deploy it almost everywhere. Right, so in this case, you are looking at the new refresh interface. What I want to show you is that we have now support for multi-layouts, even more samples to choose from, so that you can have more capability straight without doing a lot of dirty work. But in the case of me, I want to choose this. It's a quick capture template for me to work on. Right. So assuming that I have actually done my part of the coding, I want to show you how I can, compile and publish this so that my users can actually use it. This is where we want to talk about the Cloud Make. It's a new capability we introduced that allows us to create native installation files automatically for us. What I have to do is just to select the target platform of my choice and start analyze and building it. And next thing is, rather than exposing it to the public app store, I can rely on the App Studio to manage and organize all of the app installation files securely so that only members of my organization or my team can have access to it and install it. Now, let's have a look into the app right now. Okay. So this is a quick capture. I log in as Firdaus. So this POI is essentially a web map. So I treat it as a project, right? So the concept behind this is that since all of our smartphones have GPS built on it, so whenever I see a bank, I click to capture it. Whenever I see a clinic, I click this to capturing it. Same goes to the police station and post office. And once I have done the collections or I'm ready to upload, I just click upload and it will push it straight to my server. It is that easy. Okay? And you see in this 2 minutes of my presentation on this topic, I have actually not started from scratch. I rely on templates. I make use of the Cloud Make to actually compile and organize my final apps installation files. And from the looks of it, one-click data capturing app, surprisingly possible. So with that, I'm handing over to number 2. Ame?
All right, thank you, Fidos. So number 2 is the new addition to the ArcGIS Enterprise, which is called the sites. So what is sites all about? So let's take a look at an example here. I have a landing page or a geo homepage of the Esri Malaysia Defence and National Security. So under this web page, I've got a few groups. So I've got the defense, I've got the emergency management, I've got intelligence, and also law enforcement. But as you can see, each of these groups are sharing one landing page. So what if I wanted to create a custom web page? What if emergency management wants their own landing page or a home page? Now you can easily create that using sites. So how you do that? So you can click on the app shortcut, click on the sites, and you'll be taken here to the site manager. So if you wanted to create a new site, you can simply click on this one over here. So I'm creating one for the emergency management. So we'll continue in designing one for the emergency management. So as you can see here, I've set up a title. I've put in a simple banner, which I borrowed from the Civil Defense website, and a welcoming text over here. Then I've got some empty rows, so we're going to start designing. So first of all, I'm going to change the color of this one. See how easy I can do this? It's all about clicking. I'm going to change something bluish. And to make the text visible, change it to white. So as you can see, the website's starting to get alive. So moving on, let's see what we can do. So if I go over here, go to the layout builder. Perhaps I want to create a search bar. So search bar is under banner. Just drag it in and click on the gear icon as well. Change this one. I'm going to remove the sub headline and I'll click on the show search bar. There you go. So what else can we do? So perhaps I have subcategories within the emergency management. So I can go back to the layout builder. I can search for categories. So drag it in. Let's say I've got 2 categories. I'm going to put it side by side. Then same again. Click on the gear icon. So I'm going to change this one over here. Oops, this one. Okay. So I'm going to change the text. Perhaps I have health. And for the tag query, so everything under health will be shown when you click it. So I can choose an icon. I'm going to select one from the list. This one over here. And I can even change the color of the icon. So there you go. So I'm going to change the other one as well. Perhaps I've got transportation. So I'm going to copy this, save it as a query as well. And I'm going to change the icon. So I'll change the color as well. So there you go. So now you've got the text, the search, and the categories. So what else can you put? Maybe we want to put a web map of locations of hospitals. So we can do that easily. I have the web map. So go back to the layout builder and look for web map. Just drag it in. So we configure this one. Give it a name. And select the web map. So I've got one over here. Select it in. So as you can see, now it starts to appear over here. This is a clustered hospital points over here. So that's how easily I can design one landing page using the sites. So I'll pass number 1 back to Fidos.
Okay. For the number 1, I want to talk to you about our next generation of collector. This is where we redesign the app focused on 3 things. We're talking about simplifications, we're talking about consistency, and we're talking about productivity. So it is not out yet for now, but let me show you the key improvements we have made. Okay, so this is the collector, the new generation of collector. It looks the same, but it is not the same. First thing I would like to show you is about how we support better maps, high cartography vector data that is responsive, that we can rotate. Why we want to do that is because we want to provide enough flexibility or a lot more flexibility for a fieldwork to actually capturing the data on site. The next thing I want to talk about improve UI. Okay. So first, starting about improve UI, I want to talk about the adaptive sliding panel. So you don't have to choose between choosing, looking at the map, looking at the data of your assets. If you want to look into the attributes, just slide it up, look into the attachment, slide it down to have a look into the map. Next is, I want to talk about location target. Helps you to precisely capture points by panning. Next is all about, easy access to camera, so I can actually capture you guys. And I want to talk about the next thing is smarter forms. Smarter forms that we can be able to group attributes just like what we did with Survey 123. How we can actually put in validations and so many things. So give me a set. Let me just key in this a little bit. So the moment I actually collect this, we also support what we call as the what we call as a value expressions or calculations. So I capture about this damage on this residential building. So the combination of structure damage as well as miscellaneous damage, I can actually compute that to 28,000 and the percentage of the damage against the property of the value. So before this, rather than I actually collect 10 attributes in one, everything manually, everything we can actually do it to a certain extent. This can be computed. And the next thing what we are providing in this release of Collector is the ability for you to direct capture 3D data and vertical datum transformation so that you can transform elevations on the fly. That's what I can actually share with you for now. There are many more good things to come with this collector. It will be released sometime in Q4, I think probably in November or December. Trust me, it is worth the wait because we are talking about the next generation collector that can help improve your productivity by making collection a lot simpler. Thank you very much.